The first time they told her to do as you're told, she'd already done it. She had followed orders so strictly her own heart began to feel like a locked room. But now, in the middle of a mission that was falling apart, the words came again sharper, colder, like a warning. Do as you're told, Lieutenant. The officer's voice was firm, the kind that demanded obedience without mercy. And then the impossible happened. The man they all called Admiral, the one who seemed untouchable, turned pale, stepped back, and exposed her cover in front of everyone. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you were watching from. I love knowing who's listening. Her name was Elena Sato. She wasn't a real lieutenant. Not officially. She wasn't even supposed to be on the mission. She was a covert analyst, someone who lived in the shadows, who fed information to the SEALs and stayed behind the lines. Her job was to be unseen, to be the voice in the ear, the eyes behind the screen. But the mission had turned sideways. The extraction point had been compromised. The team was trapped in a narrow alley of a hostile city, surrounded by gunfire and the kind of silence that felt like the world holding its breath. Lena watched from the rooftop across the street, hands trembling as she adjusted the scope. Her stomach twisted with guilt. She had given the SEALs the route. She had told them the enemy was light. She had been wrong. And now men were dying because she had been wrong. The air was thick with smoke and dust. The city smelled of burned metal and fear. Below, the SEALs moved like shadows, their footsteps careful, their faces set. They had been trained for chaos, but not for betrayal. Elena had no rank to protect her, no uniform to hide behind. She was just a woman with a headset and a conscience that wouldn't shut up. She watched the team leader, a seasoned SEAL known only as Hawk, signal for movement. His jaw was clenched. His eyes scanned the streets, searching for the enemy that had them pinned. A burst of gunfire cracked. A man went down. Elena's breath hitched. She could have stayed hidden. She could have continued to be the invisible support. She could have done what she was told. Instead, she did something else. She radioed Hawk directly. Her voice came through calm, practiced, like she belonged there. She said, "You need to move left. The alleyway is compromised. There's a sniper on the rooftop above you." Hawk paused. The team froze. The silence stretched. Then the voice came from behind him. "Do as you're told," barked the man who was supposed to be in charge, the Admiral. His tone was sharp, like he wanted to erase Elena's words from the air. The SEALs looked up, confused. The Admiral had a reputation for being untouchable, for being the one who never questioned decisions. Everyone followed him because they feared the consequences of disobedience. But Elena's words had saved a life. Hawk didn't move. He didn't argue. He simply looked at the rooftop across the street and then at the radio. The tension in the alley was so thick it felt like a physical thing, pressing in from all sides. The SEALs stared at Elena's rooftop, as if they could see her through the dust. The Admiral's voice grew louder, said then, without warning, the rooftop erupted with a shot. A sniper round cracked through the air and struck the wall beside the team leader's head, sending a spray of concrete dust into the alley. Everyone ducked. Elena's heart dropped. She had been right. And now the only thing that stood between the team and death was a decision. Hawk rose, steadied himself, and did the unexpected. He raised his hand, signaling the team to move. The SEALs surged forward, not as scattered individuals, but as a single wave, coordinated, controlled, trained to move like a tide. Their movements were synchronized, a dance of survival. One covered, another advanced. Tools and weapons worked in unison. The team pressed through the alley using the smoke and shadows as cover. Elena watched, breath shallow, as the team moved into the open. She knew the risk. She knew the enemy could be waiting. But she also knew something else. The moment the team saw her as more than a voice, they would fight harder. The enemy fired again. Bullets tore through the air, whistling like angry insects. The SEALs returned fire, pushing forward with the ferocity of men who had decided they were not going to die without leaving a mark. And then, in the chaos, the Admiral's cover was exposed. He had been feeding false intel. He had known the route was compromised. He had been trying to control the mission from a distance, using fear and authority to force obedience. His own team realized it in that moment, realized the truth hidden behind his rank. A murmur spread through the group. Confusion, betrayal, rage. Hawk's eyes met Elena's through the smoke. For a moment, it wasn't about rank or orders. It was about trust. He radioed back, voice steady. "We're moving to extraction. Elena, you're with us." Elena's throat tightened. She had never been part of a mission like this. She had never been on the ground with the men she had supported for years. She had never been seen, but now she was. The team reached the extraction point, breath ragged, hearts pounding. The enemy fell back, not because they were defeated, but because they were shocked. Shocked that a voice in the sky had become a presence on the ground. The SEALs gathered, eyes wide. They looked at Elena like she was no longer just an analyst. They looked at her like she was one of them. The Admiral's authority had been stripped away not by force, but by truth. And the team understood something deeper. Obedience without honesty is not courage. It is a cage. Elena stood there, dust on her boots, hands trembling, and for the first time in her life, she felt something that wasn't fear. She felt belonging. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. The mission ended, but the lesson remained. Voice can change a life. A truth can expose a lie. Courage can come from the most unexpected places, especially when no one is watching. If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments. And if you believe bravery is not defined by rank, subscribe for more stories from Whispered Words. Because the bravest heroes are often the ones who never ask for permission.